Hello, Damien from the other side here. Hope you're having a very Merry Christmas and not being too busy and that you're able to take a break. We're back on January 24 with a new year of the best news without the woke for 2025. Until then, enjoy one of our top segments from 2024. Former Federal Labor Party leader and unsuccessful Prime Ministerial candidate Bill Shorten has announced his resignation this week. Well, actually, the Prime Minister announced it.
Thanks for joining us. My friend Bill Shorten has decided that he will not be contesting the next election. It's a big decision for him, for Chloe and their family who are joining us here today. Chloe and Clementine, welcome. And Bill and I have had a number of conversations over this, about this over a period of time. I think it's a credit to Bill that this news will come as a surprise, because at no point in the past 2 and a bit years would any observer of Australian politics think that Bill Shorten was taking it easy or slowing down.
He'll stay in Cabinet as the Minister for the NDIS until he retires in February next year. Shorten gave a long speech about his past and says there will be even more tales to come in February. Can hardly wait.
When I was voted Labor leader after the 2013 election, the party, as the Prime Minister said, was at a low ebb. We were reduced to 55 seats, our worst result since 1996. We were up against an ascendant Abbott government with a fierce ideological agenda, and the 2014 budget was the centre of that.
It's like watching, your boss resigning and giving a little speech, but they've done it like he's a great statesman, and with this long history, it's not quite working. You also can't have a fierce ideological agenda, according to them, unless it's the left's fierce ideological agenda. Naughty Tony Abbott wanting to cut all that government spending and thinking that we should tolerate a centre-right Conservative elected government and that it should be, centre-right and Conservative.
There was an attempt to dismantle Medicare, slash the funding for schools and hospitals, make it harder for people to go to university. They're ripping off the safety net for people on the pension and young people looking for work.
Yeah, because they're all vote-winning strategies, Bill. That's exactly what Conservatives want. We want to make people suffer, It couldn't just be that people on the centre-right and right of politics have a different ideology that they believe will actually make life better for everyone. Oh no, only big government can make things better for people. Leaving them alone, free market liberalism, lower regulation, centre-right ideology, that'll never work. Except for the small irritating fact that, it does work, and it has worked everywhere it's ever been applied, and big government socialism has failed everywhere that it's ever been applied. Honestly, this is the worst, most anti-business, anti-freedom government this country has seen in half a century. Tanya Plibersek, our Environment Minister, who's more concerned about feral cats than anything else at the moment, has got to be living under a rock if she thinks we can afford, with the dreadful state our economy is in right now, to pull the pin last minute on $1 billion mining project because of some nutjob fake ideological whim. At the last minute, after 4 years of an approval process and going through all that struggle from the investors and the people trying to get the project running. What signal does she think that sends to investors here in Australia and investors abroad that might want to be investing in Australia? Is she nuts? Name one thing that this government has done to make life easier for small and medium-sized businesses that our economy desperately relies on. I can't think of anything. It's just more red tape, more green tape, add a little rainbow tape, and little DEI bull dust for good measure. Oh yes, we'll make sure you can't start a business in Australia. We'll make sure that you have to fight to employ people and create jobs. We'll get in your way every step of the way. And if you do manage to overcome all that and actually make a buck at the end of the day, we'll tax you to death, you greedy capitalist bastards. Sorry, Bill, you do not lecture the right of politics about ideological agendas. Yours and Elbows and Tanya's and Dr. Jim's, "Ooh, I want to fix capitalism. I have a PhD, ooh." That has been a complete disaster. You're retiring, Bill Shorten, because you're sick of the game and you know that another stint in opposition is on its way. It's the sinking ship and the rats are leaving. But don't take my word for it. Let's look at the facts. Inflation is on the up, and the Reserve Bank is now saying that not only are interest rates not likely to come down anytime soon, they may need to go up again first, as we predicted on this show last week. Thank you. So let's look at the data out this week that showed that we're now in a deep and entrenched recession. That means our economy is not growing. It is in fact shrinking. That's not good for anybody, rich or poor or gay or straight or black or white or Muslim or Jew or trans. Nobody. It's bad for the whole rainbow, trans, extra triangle, coloured bits flag. You got it, left-wing people? Good. Okay, so GDP, here's an economics lesson, stands for for the left. I know the right get this already. GDP stands for gross domestic product. It's a measure of everything we as a country produce. And it's used all around the world to measure how healthy an economy is. If you've got 2-3 month periods of negative GDP growth, shrinking, that's 2 quarters, that's what economists technically call being in a recession. We have had six consecutive quarters of negative GDP per capita growth. You can't just look at GDP growth overall as they try to pretend, it's actually growing. No, because we keep bringing immigrants in to make it look like the economy isn't going backwards, but it is. You have to divide the GDP by the number of people actually producing and use the GDP per capita, per person numbers. Australian Taxpayers Association Chief Economist Dr. John Humphreys tweeted this chart this week and pointed out that Australia's current per capita recession is the longest on record, which goes back 50 years. Others have been steeper, but this is consecutive for 6 quarters and it's entrenched, therefore. The longer it goes, the harder it is to get out of. A rich nation blessed with so much going backwards. It takes some special ability to wreck something as blessed as Australia. It takes a special kind of politician and bureaucrat mentality to stuff things up quite this badly when you're starting with so much more than most other countries start with. Good on you, Team Elbow, and the Teals, and the Greens, you too. You must be so proud. The size, I've got to also say maybe the Liberal Party, the last government too, has a little bit to do with this. The size of governments in this country desperately need to be slashed. And we need an opposition with the guts to stand up to public servant bureaucrats and say, sorry guys, but for the good of the nation, this has to be done. Chop, chop, chop. Australia has 2.5 million public servants, almost 2 million in state government, 350,000 in the federal government, and 200,000 in local government. That is insane for a country of only 27 million people. But the problem is that these 2.5 million people, they vote. And of course, most of them, not all, but most of them are voting for bigger government, not for smaller government. So no politician will ever campaign saying that they'll slash the public service. And I want to make a distinction between the public servant bureaucrats and the public servants like police, nurses, etc., teachers who are on the front line working hard and productively contributing to the economy. Right? There is a difference. The people on the front line are sick of the bureaucrats because they make their job harder with the red tape, the green tape, the rainbow tape, etc. Now, if anybody did stand up and say, we're going to slash the public service, a politician, they wouldn't get elected because the numbers are stacked against them. So we are kind of stuck in this as a country unless we get really smart, really fast. But that's hard when the biggest and most powerful media organisation in the land is a government organisation full of public servants. On top of a shrinking economy, governments keep borrowing money to pay their bills and keep their insane promises of freebies that they made to get elected. We're heading for $1 trillion debt. That means paying the interest bill on that government debt every year and just paying off 10% of the principal would eat up almost a quarter of the money that governments have to spend in total every year. That's money that they take through tax, by the way, from the productive economy. It's immoral, as former Howard Government Deputy Prime Minister John Anderson told Sky News a few months ago.
Firstly, there's the moral issue. That might sound a funny thing to say, but economics is not just about a sweet set of numbers. It's about better outcomes for people. And I remember John Howard saying that day, We need to end the intergenerational theft. That's a moral issue. When a society won't live within its means and expects its children and its unborn, to pick up the tab for their ways, that's wrong. Secondly, there's the issue of character. We were able to do it because we stuck to one another like glue, even though, frankly, at times it was unbelievably difficult. We were upsetting our colleagues, we were upsetting the community, media speculation was rife, but no one leaked. Everyone got on with it. We displayed the character and the discipline and the trust to make it work.
Just contrast that for a moment. The willingness of the old Howard government to do the morally right thing and face all that political backlash because you know it's right for the country, with the endless immoral spending, borrowing of Labor and the Greens and the Teals. Remember this every time dopey Adam Bandt says he wants to give you free this. Let's have free dental and mental in Medicare. I mean, it sounds lovely, right? Who could argue with that? Except that we can't afford it. I wonder if Adam's dad ever stepped in and said, no, mate, put that toy down. You can't have it and we can't afford it. I doubt it. It's not hard politically to go out and tell the public that you're going to give them free stuff. It's even easier to make the moral politicians who say, no, hang on a minute, we can't afford that, we need to do the responsible thing, look like evil capitalists and the bad guys. That's why without mature, well-educated, smart voters, any country is stuffed. And right now, we are stuffed.
The third thing I'd say is about leadership. We need our leaders to actually go out there and explain why some things have to be done. And Peter Costello often makes the point that we didn't have a constituency. People say, oh, there's no constituency now for what you're talking about, Peter, cleaning up the Economic Act. We didn't have one either. They weren't actually busting the door down to say, balance the books. You've got to make the case, see it through, and then you get the results. And the results were spectacular. The Australian economy took off. Employment improved out of sight. Living standards started to rise. It was a golden era.
My God, leadership? Don't ask the current Liberal and National Party for leadership. Are you crazy? We don't have the constituency for that. We'll never get voted in. Heaven forbid they should take an idea to the people and actually sell it. That would just be, oh, no. We've got the research here saying that people want, oh yes, net zero and, yep, all those things we've got to do. Yep, got to get onto that Labor agenda and stay on the defensive the whole time. If we only had more people like John Anderson inside the Liberal and National parties of today. By the way, he did try to make a comeback last election. He tried to run for the Senate in New South Wales. You know what the party said? They said, no, we don't need you. No, thanks. Wouldn't want a smart elder who used to be Deputy Prime Minister in there. Like, that would just be terrible, wouldn't it? What a difference it would make. Hope you liked that segment. If you did, head over now to our website at othersidetv.com.au and sign up to join us in our mission to take the depressing victimhood out of the news and stop looking to bigger and bigger government to save us. It can't and it won't. There is a better way to view the world. The Other Side. We're back from holidays Friday, January 24. In the meantime, check us out, othersidetv.com.au. If you have a Netflix or other streaming media account from a global company and you're on holidays and log in from another country, you may have noticed that shows that are available in those other countries are different. That's because different media companies have different deals with different streaming services in different countries. Imagine being able to log into Netflix, though, as if you were in America, or maybe a country that speaks a language other than English that you speak, to access more shows, but you can do it all without leaving your couch here in Australia. Well, there is a way. There is a way. Private Internet Access VPN is a virtual private network. You download their app onto your phone, your TV, your computer, whatever you use, and it'll route your data through a different server location. Not only can you access more content, but a VPN keeps you safe and secure and your family safe so that you can't be tracked by prying eyes of big government and big corporations. And it will not massively slow down your internet speeds or make it harder to use your devices like some other VPNs do. Private Internet Access, PIA VPN. It's quick and easy to install, and once you've downloaded it, that is pretty much it. And the great news is if you sign up for PIA VPN, you are also helping the other side heaps and getting great value for money as well. And you can sign up using our special Other Side code for less than $3 a month. That's a whopping 83% off the normal price, and you'll get the first 4 months free. Just go to piavpn.com/otherside right now to get our special deal. That's piavpn.com/otherside.